This is Michael Byrne here. I just got back from Tom Hooper's Les Mis movie over at the Fandango Theater on 53rd Street. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. As a personal fan of Les Mis, and I have this for visual evidence, this was a very innovative, heartfelt, just all-around pleasurable experience at the movies. And, you know, like, I will confess, like, that I already knew that there was going to be, like, a lot of effort put into this. Like, you know, for anyone who's seen The King's Speech, they know that Tom Hooper is, like, a very scenic director. Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman, both of those actors have had some experience on stage and even some experience singing. So, yeah. So, before we start talking about the movie, I should probably start talking about how I got into Les Mis. You see, I'm actually a fan of Focus on the Family Radio Theater, and last Christmas I received I think it was 2 Christmases ago, actually. Yeah, I received a package of radio dramas that had Les Mis, starring Brian Blessed, as one of them. And I just sat down and listened to this story, and, like, Focus on the Family always does great, like, voice acting work. Like, you really feel these characters, like, breathe and, you know, deliver everything subtly or dramatically. I mean, you can really feel, like, the tension that each of them are going through, and, you know, I think that really helped get the emotional heart of the story for me at first. And then I started getting into finding out more about the musical. And my first experience with that was watching the 10th anniversary concert on YouTube. And to this day, I still think that is the definitive sounding version of Les Mis. I mean, this is like all the best like actors for, like, from shows all around the world throughout the past couple years, well, before 1996. And this was all of them, like, gathered on a singular stage with a couple microphones and no set. They were just using their pure character acting abilities and great voices, and that Colm Wilkinson, oh my gosh, he is just, he's incredible. He actually makes an appearance in this movie as the Bishop of Dean, which I thought was incredibly awesome. We'll get to that in a second. I love Philip Quast as Javert. I thought he delivered, like, a really intense but also kind of dignified performance, and I thought that was really cool. And there's, like, a bunch of actors from the 10th anniversary concert. Actually, one of them, Michael McGuire, he actually used to be married to my mom's cousin, Marie DeGarity. So, yeah, that's one little personal Les Mis connection we have in our family tree. So, yeah, there's a lot of things about that concert I really like. I like the international Valjeans that come in near the end and sing the "Do You Hear the People Singing One Day More" combination, and oh my gosh. So having listened to that and seen the thing, like, I was friggin' hyped when the trailer for this came out. Like, you know, I thought that this was really going to capture, you know, a lot of the spirit of the musical. And, you know, the more I found out about this musical, the more I began to, you know, kind of, you know, evaluate this, like logistically. Because, I mean, to be honest, like, you know, some of the actors in there, like, you know, at first I thought were fine, but others I just thought were kind of miscast. I mean, when I heard that Hugh Jackman was going to be Jean Valjean, I was like, okay, so Wolverine's going to be playing Jean Valjean. Is he still going to have that country dialect, or is he going to be able to really capture, like, the grief and the anger this character is going through? And Russell Crowe is going to be Javert. And to be fair, I haven't seen a whole lot of Russell Crowe movies, but I don't know. I guess as a fan, like, you know, I guess I just kind of wanted, like, a more notorious, like, intense actor to take on this role at first, like someone like Ralph Fiennes, or I don't know, Hugo Weaving, like someone who I knew already had a very strong voice and could probably deliver, like, a lot of legal dignity to this character. I mean, just so there's that. And also, I was kind of iffy about Sacha Cohen Baron as Thénardier. And the one thing I do remember seeing Sacha Cohen Baron in like full length is the Madagascar movies. I love his King Julian. He's very funny. I love his little Jamaican accent, which he shows off with the children. But I don't know. Just kind of imagining that King Julian voice with the Thénardier character. It did not measure up well as a good casting decision. Like, and again, that's someone I would have wanted, like, you know, Andy Serkis or I don't know, like even like a Timothy Spall to play, because like, you know, both of those characters, like, you see them and you see like a malevolent character, but I don't know. I think that's just kind of the spoiled Les Mis fan to me, like. And like, I started listening to some of the previews on iTunes and even some of the clips that were coming out on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh, please let this please let this be good. And then I saw that the movie was kind of getting a mixed rating of Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I think it's currently at like 72 or something. I don't know. And I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like it's going to be a movie that could have been something great. Instead, it's just kind of, yeah. So, I don't know. I think probably 25% of my enthusiasm probably went down the toilet when I found out about that. But, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, another day older. I really do believe it's the story and, you know, the effort you put into this kind of adaptation that really makes it shine through. And, you know, I think that our family has always really appreciated like the impact of the Les Mis story. My brother Joseph, I don't have any like pictures of this now, but like our Notre Dame like themed basement, like he took like all the like the spare toys and the spare pieces of furniture and he just stacked them up into this giant barricade. We couldn't even get through to go watch the downstairs big screen TV, or even down to my big brother's like little resting room. So it was pretty chaotic there, but I don't know. We probably had the 10th anniversary concert playing like at least 14 times a week, like at a minimum, like for the weeks building up to this show. And you know, I mean, I just getting to see this adaptation, like, you know, I mean, there's certain restrictions you have with, like, even a radio adaptation and even a stage adaptation. And while both of them are good in their own right, there's just something about a movie that just adds so much more scope to a story like Les Mis. And, you know, I took a couple look at some of the clips from 1998. Like, I thought it was fairly faithful to the original Victor Hugo novel, but I don't know. I think they changed some things for the ending that kind of just made it, like in the original 1998 one, Thénardier, like, he just shows up for, like, a scene, and then he's just, like, you never see him again. And I thought it was like, okay, I mean, that's kind of robbing the story of a good antagonist. I mean, I guess you have Geoffrey Rush's Javert, and, I mean, he's good. I mean, I love Geoffrey Rush's work. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, King's Speech, Finding Nemo. He's really good. But I don't know. I think every adaptation you make of a particular story has other elements that were already done so well in another previous adaptation that you kind of, you know, almost hope that certain like changes will carry through to the new thing. But, you know, I mean, on one hand, you do have to respect like the different takes that these directors decide to take with their movies. And, you know, the night before I just decided, I'm just going to go see this, I'm going to have faith in the movie, and whatever happens, happens. So, I got there, probably like half an hour before the show started. We got our jumbo popcorn and our jumbo lemonades, and then the credits started. Or opening credits started coming up, like, and it had a very curious image. Like, it's like a picture of a sunken French flag that, you know, the camera's kind of closing up on, and then I'm like, are they like forwarding to a future scene in the movie? But then you come out of the water, and oh my gosh, when you see this set, like when you see the ships and you see the prisoners, and I don't know, just hear the instrumentals, like, that's when I think a lot of that like pre-show spirit starts to build up within you. You're like, okay, yes, you're starting off strong. Keep going, keep it going, keep going. Like, you know, I think I was constantly in that mentality throughout the entire thing. Like, in a way, it kind of almost feels like you're directing it in a way, because, you know, you can't always control what you're gonna see, but you can control, you know, what you want, and, you know, how you're prepared to handle each new change that the actors throw your way. So, all right, that out of the way. All right, so the look down number I thought was pretty good. Yeah, we of course focus on like Jean Valjean. He's like pulling in the big ship with the other prisoners. Like, the makeup for this guy looks incredible. Like, I actually saw like a bunch of behind the scenes stuff detailing about how like they made his eyes like really bloodshot, and like how they made his teeth like even more yellow than this. Or yeah, they did some pretty good stuff there. And then entered the thing that I thought might possibly be the quasi-death of this movie, Inspector Javert. And there's a quick little scene right before like he and Valjean have their like little part of the Look Down song. It's like, apparently like this is some sort of obedience rite of passage, like, because in the book like Jean Valjean is like this super strong like Incredible Hulk like prisoner. So what Javert asks him to do is he tells him, pick up the flag. And Valjean, like, he gets down on his knees and he heaves this huge thing up onto his shoulders. He walks forward a couple feet, and then he sets it down. So at first I was kind of like, okay, weird display of patriotism, I guess. But I mean, I think now that thinking back on it now, like, that is just a really cold display of, like, you know, authority. Like, you know, just making someone go through so much, you know, momentary pain, like, just to say that, I'm the boss, even after you leave. So, yeah. And Javert singing, like, again, like, I think Russell Crowe, he does a good job acting this. I'm not going to lie about that, but I don't know. He sings his songs in this movie just, I don't know. It's something like, they sound nice, but they don't really sound like they're full of a lot of conviction. Like, you know, like if you see like someone like Philip Quast as Javert, and there I go comparing to the 10th anniversary again, but I mean this Javert, like, you can really sense like a lot of indignation and rage like from this character. And, you know, every one of his songs, like, he's always like, and so it must be, for it is written on the doorway to paradise that those who falter and those who fall. So just like you can see like a lot of intensity there. Like, you know, I really believe this for myself, and I'm going to capture this man and make Paris a safer place. Whereas with Crow, I kind of got more the impression like, okay, prisoner 24601, your time is up and your parole's begun. Do you know what that means? I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but I'm singing it anyway. I mean, I don't know. I thought his talking bits were okay. I mean, I liked some of the new stuff that they added between him and Valjean. And, like, there's, like, at first, like, there's this little scene, like, it's right at the end of the day number. We'll get to that one. It's like a little scene where he and Valjean are talking about, you know, who Valjean is as a person, like how he's come to be like the mayor and all that. And, you know, I think the little touches like that are really good. Like, you know, it's good for building character interest. It's good for, you know, kind of setting up things between these characters. And again, this is one thing that the adaptation does a lot better than the musical. It has like a lot of extra little scenes like that are actually kind of inspired by the book. Like, for example, trying to think of a really good one. Yeah, right. When Jean Valjean and Cosette are running away from Javert, like after he's just adopted her, and they had that little Suddenly song in the carriage, which I actually thought was pleasant, but I probably won't be humming it like anytime soon. But it's like the scene where they've just run over like the convent walls, and Valjean runs into the guy, Fauchelevent, who he saved from the falling cart earlier in the movie. And I thought that when I saw this, I was just like, yes, this is perfect. Now you're establishing reasons for how they come to live safely. You're establishing reasons for character building, and like I always kind of like this little section from the radio drama because it's almost kind of like a nice little respite from all the tension and fear that they're going through, and I thought that was really welcome. But of course, you do have to follow closely to the musical. So, I think that extra scene lasts about probably 3 minutes at most, and then we ship to the next look down number. All right, what's the next thing? Anne Hathaway. All right. Now, for anyone who's grown up with Anne Hathaway, you've probably come to know her as kind of like the underdog beauty, usually the one who has to suffer like a stereotypical female antagonist, or I don't know, kind of a low social setting before she becomes like this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. And to watch a movie like this is really very interesting because it's actually kind of reversing that pattern. When we see her in the factory, she's like a modestly dressed woman. She's pretty. She has dark eyes, long hair. I'm a real sucker for those kinds of chicks. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. And as we watch her get fired and have to sell her locket, her teeth, we really come to see this degradation, but also this courage that she's having to put up with. And oh my gosh, I dreamed a dream. This is probably the most intimate number you'll have throughout the entire film, and let me tell you, every second you can see a real big flash of despair or frustration on her face, and to be that close to her, sometimes these wide angle lens shot, it's basically the screen looks like it's this on her the entire time, and I don't know, you can see every tear that falls from her eye, you can see every facial expression she makes, that she's anguished, and oh my gosh, it's harrowing. There's a lot of rare moments in movies where you get into this intimate state with a character, and to be honest, to be in an intimate state with someone played by a actress who, is known as being this beautiful and graceful and successful woman, it's just, I don't know, it's almost incomprehensible. You can't really believe that she's, suffering this much when she already had a lot of good stuff to begin with. Moral wise and physical wise, I guess. But I don't know. What else? Alright. So after the song sequence, where Valjean escapes Javert, the confrontation, which, again, I really love the 10th anniversary one, for that, because it just shows, a lot of more of their, emotional heat. But they do have, a little, sword fight, Valjean is, a huge block of wood, and Javert, has his sword, and, these two are, clashing, as they're, talking to each other about their past, and I thought that was a good touch. And then we get to the Thénardiers. Okay, again, I think Sacha Cohen Baron, when I first heard this version of Master of the House, I was like, oh my gosh, Sasha, what are you doing? You're gonna butcher the song. Put more effort into it. And they were kind of half the instrumentals that were in the 10th anniversary concert. They were good instrumentals. It's just they weren't quite as much. And I don't know. I guess I just thought it was going to be this big bombastic number, and just one that's very in your face about how goofily insane they are. But again, this is kind of another one I was pleasantly surprised by, because you actually see them kind of telling their daughter Eponine, look, honey, this is how we're gonna cheat the customers. And I thought that was a really cute touch. She thinks her father is this cool businessman, and as the film goes on, she just starts to see him become this really cheap and dark person. And I don't know. I think that's an interesting father-daughter relationship that works well in contrast to Valjean and Cosette. That one's built on gaining her trust, and the Thénardiers are just kind of built on you know, gaining favor. So I thought that was really interesting. All right. And again, like with characters like these, like, if you perform them well enough, you will believe, the whole crux of what they're going through. I mean, trying to think of another good example. I mean, that Empty Chairs of Empty Tables song, oh my gosh. I was so shook up by this. I mean, this Eddie Raymond guy, I think his name is, he plays Marius. Like, it's just like I Dreamed a Dream. Like, it's really closing up on him, like, and you can see, like, all this anguish and sorrow that's in his face. Like, he's crying, and like, they don't do the thing in the musical where they show the different people, and I actually thought that worked kind of well. Like, I think that really helps establish more of the emptiness that this character is experiencing. Like, he's just lost his friends, like, all of them were kind of like brothers to him, and now he doesn't really know if he has a purpose in life. But actually, that leads to the inclusion of another character that I thought was kind of nice, Marius' grandfather, and like he's another one that I thought was really well played in the radio adaptation, but was left out of the musical. And I mean, he's not in there for too long. I mean, you can kind of sense that he's like a little embarrassed that, his grandson is going out and fighting the authorities of France, but, he comes around nicely in the end. Like, he supports his grandson. He's like, oh, I'm just glad you're safe. Whatever you want to be, that's fine. And I thought that was really nice. Now, as for the song sequences, a lot of these songs, like, a lot of them keep a lot of the same, like, pacing and tone that they had, like, in the original, like, 10th anniversary and even the Broadway one. I'm not even talking about, like, the first performance of this show. I mean, I'm just talking about, like, the ones that, like, I've had experience with, because, like, I don't know, I'm just hoping that'll provide, like, a little more internal perspective of, how these things have kind of differed. And what was I talking about? Oh yeah, song sequences, right. I thought that sometimes the actors seemed like they were deliberately slowing down some stuff, and I don't know. Well, I thought some of that stuff worked, like, for really establishing their moods. Like, Hugh Jackman, he really knows how to do this. Like, when he's singing, Look Down, or even, like, Bring Him Home, like, you can really tell that he's making the song really personal to him, and, I mean, all of them are kind of rusty at points, but it's never at a point where they're, like, god-awful. You're like, oh, get them off screen. No, they're not like that. You really enjoy, like, some parts of them that are on stage, and, well, on stage, on screen, I guess. Man, look at this. The realities between stage and screen are blending. And, trying to think of what else I really liked. Okay, one thing that really made this movie for me. This is another 10th anniversary carryover that I really enjoyed. Actually, it might be the only one, but I thought this one worked really well. Colm Wilkinson as the bishop. Okay. For anyone who saw Jean Valjean as played by this guy on Broadway, or even one of the concerts, or even heard him on one of the albums, this guy put a lot of effort into originating the role of Jean Valjean. Like, he's been, like, inside and out of it. Like, he's kind of almost as essential to the show as, like, Jean-Claude Schlonberg or Cameron McIntosh. Like, I think the people who opened this on Broadway are probably, some of the people who define the show the most. And when you see this guy, like the original guy playing the Bishop of Dean, like the biggest puppy dog of a human being in the movie, like, it is just such a I don't even know what the word for it is. It's surreal, but it's almost kind of like, yeah, I mean, this has come full circle. like you really believe that this bishop, like for some reason, has gone through a life of similar struggle, and now he's passing on the strength to continue to this new Jean Valjean. And like I think this is really prevalent, like when he's handing him the silver and God has raised you out of darkness. I have bought your soul for God. That was, oh my gosh, I freaking love that scene. And then we move on to Valjean like doing his soliloquy, and again, this is another great moment from Hugh Jackman. Like he's kneeling before like the altar, he's crying, he's walking around, he's thinking about this. Like he's really letting this build and letting this number be something really reflective, and he does it like, just kind of go melodically from one note to the next, like Russell Crowe's Javert, which I wish he would take a little more slowly and theatrically. Okay, so that's my butching and moaning for that part, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what else more I can say. I love the sets, I love the scenes, that ending scene, where Valjean finally passes away, and you know what? I'm not even gonna spoil like how they play out this ending scene, but let me just tell you, when I saw this, like, it's kind of related almost to what I saw in the stage production of the show, and to be honest, like, it's kind of like a reaction between like laughing and crying. Like it wasn't like tears or anything, but like, I don't know. I just felt like really overwhelmed by how well they were doing this. Like I looked back, my mom, she had like a couple boxes of tissues, and I mean she's a hardcore Les Mis fan, so this is her deserved Christmas present. So I'm glad we could all experience this together as a family, and for each musical to screen adaptation, it's really essential that you capture the spirit of what the show is about. And what I think really defines the show more than anything is redemption. Like, do these characters, are they able to find some measure of peace within themselves? Like, will Jean Valjean finally be able to escape the horrors of the past and finally be able to, make peace with himself and God? Will Javert realize what kind of man that Jean Valjean is and, come to question his own motives? Will the Thénardiers get their competence for being the world's worst innkeepers and probably one of Paris's worst people, to be honest? I mean, they are not angels, let me tell you. And there's like different levels of investment that I felt at different periods of this. Like during the opening song, it was like, yes, yes, yes. Other songs like I will confess, I'm not really like a big fan of the Heart Full of Love song, but I think it sounds nice. I mean, it's the love song. You got people who are always going to be like saps for that kind of stuff, and I respect that. I mean, I'm kind of a hopeless romantic myself in that regard, but I don't know. I mean, I think this musical really works well at building something really inspiring and hopeful within you. Like, if you have like a religious background, this movie is probably going to be very encouraging. I mean, and even if you don't share the same beliefs, it's still inspiring to see like these characters come together and make discoveries about themselves, and decide for yourself whether they did accomplish whether what they originally set out to do. So, well, guys, that's my 10 francs for this. I'm probably going to give this 8.5 out of 10 buckets of popcorn for my rating. Just because I thought it's awesome. I mean, but there's just certain elements that could have been up to like a little more. Like there's a few more song sequences that could have been edited, and if you did that, you could seriously have like a movie as classic as like, I mean, to be honest, this might already be as classic as like Sound of Music by the time the new year rolls in. I mean, it's getting more reviews rolling in, and more people are getting to see it, and I mean, the complaints I have, they're just like minor complaints. So for who would enjoy this, I would say if you're a fan of the original show, I would say expect a lot of faithfulness to the stage show, but be prepared for some stuff that they do different. They don't like include every song in there, like the Dog Eats Dog one. That's not in there. Trying to think what else they cut out. They cut out a couple verses out of the second reprise of Look Down with like the People of Paris. And what else? If you saw the 25th anniversary, Samantha Barks is in this. Actually, I kind of forgot to talk about her. I'll try to describe her scenes really quickly. She has kind of a very mischievous, but also a very loving spirit. So you really feel for her as a character. And I love little Gavroche. I think he's the most adorable little French Revolution mascot you could ask for in this movie. He's a little sassy, but he's not like too overconfident or whatever. There's actually a really nice scene with him when he's been, let's just say when he's taken a fatal wound, and one of the characters does something to honor him, and when you see this, it gives you a whole lot more level of respect for this movie, because you can tell that this movie doesn't just have a heart, it has a really big brain. I mean, it knows exactly when to hit the right chords, and it knows what new things really make the story grow stronger. I mean, as for who wouldn't like it, well, I guess I will say this. I mean, if you're expecting every single one of the characters to have like a lot of power in their voices, or even if the concept of sitting through a 2-hour musical seems kind of tedious, you probably might have to reconsider your cinema options. But I mean, to be honest, I am very happy with this movie. I'm very glad I got to go see it, and I think that people have wanted something like this for Les Mis for a long time. Now that it's finally here, I think a lot of people are going to keep expecting greater adaptations, and there's still a lot of musicals out there that can make great movies. I'm actually kind of interested to see what you could do with Jekyll and Hyde musical movie, because I love the music from that one. I love Frank Wildhorn. Again, I listened to a concept album. Anthony Warlow, he's incredible from that, but it's just kind of me rambling again. But yeah, so that's what I thought of the movie. If you want to go check it out, by all means, you have my blessing. If not, I hope you find something else to view this holiday season. I hope you've had a great 2012 movie-going year, and here's to a great 2013 of even more great movies. I'll try to see if I can get more of these recorder reviews up. Right now I just have my photo booth technology on my MacBook recording this, so yeah, I'll try to see if I can do some different stuff for the next time I review something directly after I see it. Alright? Okay. Well, I hope you all have a great evening, and God's blessings go with you. Bye-bye.